Daf Hey, Lamed Hey, Amud Aleph, 35a in Beitsa. We're talking about the question of when a fruit becomes chayav in Meiser. There are different requirements of it being a finished product, etc. And according to some of the Tanoim, we can bypass those requirements on given occasions. If there's something important that's replacing it, then we can say it's chayav in Meiser even before it's a finished product. According to certain opinions, but this we're going to see Rabbi Yochanan doesn't buy into all of that. He makes it very clear, according to him, what the true halacha is, regardless of many other opinions which appeared in the Gemora before. So we're about 6 lines from the bottom of the page. Why don't you read it throughly, since Shabbatai already read.
Ki asa Rabin came Amar Yochanan. Said Rabbi Yochanan.
What does it mean he came?
Came to answer.
No, it's a very common phrase that's used in Gemora. Asa Rabin, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. It's referring to a time when he came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. And then he reported to everyone in Bavel what he had heard in Eretz Yisrael. So since his Rebbe was Rabbi Yochanan, usually what he reported was what Rabbi Yochanan had said. Because Rabbi Yochanan lived in Eretz Yisrael, lived in Tiberia. He was actually the one who wrote Talmud Yerushalyim, according to many opinions.
What's between Babli and Yerushalyim?
Sorry?
Babli and Yerushalyim.
What about Babli and Yerushalyim?
What's the difference?
There are a number of differences. The language is somewhat different. Less maforshim, very hard to understand Yerushalayim usually. A number of differences. The biggest one is it was written in Eretz Yisrael, the time where Yochanan lived, which was before a lot of our Gemora. Rabbi Yochanan was at the same time as Rav and Shmuel, one of the first Amoraim. So Talmud Yerushalayim was written much earlier than Talmud Bavli. Another difference. In any event, most of our halachas come from Bavli, so therefore we don't learn Yerushalayim right away, but those who are on a higher level of learning always learn Yerushalayim to complete their learning. Okay, so continue now again. Ki asa Rabin Amar Rabbi Yochanan means what?
Rabin came back from Eretz Yisrael.
And he reported what?
To Bavel.
What did he report?
Rabbi Yochanan said.
What his Rabbi Yochanan had said. Right.
Echad Shabbos, Echad Shoma, Echad Chatzer, Echad Mekach. Whether Shabbos or Tsama or Chatzer or whether Mekach, Kulan Ein Kovin Ela B'Davash Liba B'Lachta. All of these are not covered, only something which the Malacha is complete.
So can you say that in your own language?
All these cases, whether it's Shabbos Tsama or the case of a Chatzer or the case of a Mekach or a sale. The only kind of chayav in Meiser is the finished product.
Right. So let's take Shabbos for example. We've been discussing that all along. We know Shabbos has a power to consider things chayav in Meiser. Where did we learn that? Remember? Where did we originally learn that Shabbos has a power to consider things finished for Meiser?
One of the case of the Ta'ini.
Of?
The kids, on Mishnah.
Which Mishnah?
The case in Maestros.
Right. And our Gemora brings that right after the Mishnah to start the conversation going. Meaning we know Shabbos has a power, but how far do we take that? That was Rava's question that he asked Rav Nachman, right? Do you remember what Rav Nachman explained to him?
Nachman explained to him that
No. That was Marzutra Braid Rav Nachman. That was Rav Nachman's son who tried to use our Mishnah to prove what his father said, but before that his father already stated his opinion. What was Rava's question?
Is Shabbos kaver for Maisa something which is fixed or something which is not fixed? What do we say?
Fixed?
Yeah. No, not fixed means finished product.
So it's a topic which Rabbi Yochanan is discussing.
Yeah, which is not.
Same topic. Rava wanted to know about that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he hadn't heard Rabbi Yochanan, right? Because Rabbi Yochanan was in Eretz Yisrael. Perhaps he hadn't heard this whole statement that we see later in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Okay?
Yes.
So Rava asked his Rebbe Rav Nachman, what's the halacha? And what did Rav Nachman say?
So he Rav Nachman said back to Rava, right? Whether it's something which is a complete product or something which is not a complete product.
That was the question. What did he answer?
Even something which is a it says Shabbos is kaver, something which is complete and something which is not complete. It's higher than myself above.
So the Chiddush is even
Something which is not finished product.
an unfinished product. So Rava wanted to know, we know it's koveya for a finished product that we see from the Tinokos and the Ta'eni. As Rashi said, a normal Ta'en is considered a finished product.
Yeah.
And the Mishnah in Maisra says it's koveya. Even if you didn't bring it to the Chatzar yet, it's still Chayiv and Maisra. But Rav wanted to know, what about if it was an unfinished product, not like a Ta'ena? Or a Ta'ena that you want to do more to it, right? You want to make it into jam or something. Can Shabbos be koveya for an unfinished product? So what did Rav Nachman answer?
For both.
And more specifically for our purposes, he said, yes, Shabbos is koveya even for what?
Unfinished product.
Unfinished. Then Marzutra, the son of Rav Nachman, tries to prove what his father said from our Mishnah in Beitsa. That's why our Gemora brings this whole discussion, because it applies to our Gemora in Beitsa, our Mishnah in Beitsa, about the Grogos and Samukim, or whatever, the way Rashi explains our Mishnah. Right?
Yes.
And then we go back and forth, and the Gemora concludes that in Rabbi Eliezer we have to say what? Right, you said that we have a contradiction even in Rabbi Eliezer, which we answer in the end. What is the position of Rabbi Eliezer? Remember?
He holds now, this before now. Position now is that Shabbos is not kaver, Shabbos is not chayiv.
What do you mean now?
Now Mishnah later on.
No, not later on. Our Mishnah that we've had just now.
We've had a Mishnah in Shvi, that if the person stands.
No, it's not in Shvi.
It's a
Our Mishnah is in Beitsa.
But it's a
But it
Mishnah
talks
Beitsa.
about Shvi.
Because Shvi says enough of it's a deal, right?
That what?
If Shabbos is you'd be allowed to eat it not on a nice it's
What does he do on Erev Shabbos?
he makes he's saying like system maybe just tomorrow.
He says with a dibur that he's going to eat it the next day.
Yeah.
And then we have a diut that if it would have been a normal year, not a Shemitah year, we wouldn't be able to eat it the next day because it would be Chayiv and Meiser. So something that he just did made it Chayiv and Meiser. What is it about what he just did that makes it Chayiv and Meiser?
The statement is Kabbalah.
That's the question. Just the fact that he made a dibur, or the fact that he was miyachid for Shabbos? Which aspect are we saying made it Chayiv and Meiser? Just saying a dibur that I want to eat this, that's enough? To say you want to eat something, that's enough to make it Chayiv and Meiser? Or the fact that he was miyachid for Shabbos made it Chayiv and Meiser?
There's Dibur.
So there is an opinion of what you're saying. And it goes back and forth. But in Rabbi Eliezer, we say it can't be the deeper. Why?
Because it's what the case of the Chozra the second, right?
Mosro Chozra.
Mosro Chozra.
That's what the nickname of that little halacha is, right? Where you see that even if you put it on his plate, as long as he can put it back in the jar, just putting it on the plate, that's certainly saying you want to eat it, right? It's like saying it with a big weight. I really want to eat this. You put it on your plate. And still it's not Chayiv and Meiser if you could put it back. So Kal V'chomer, Rashi says, if you just stand up on the roof and you say, I want to eat this tomorrow, you're saying you want to eat it, but that's not enough for Rabbi Eliezer. Even putting it in your place not enough. Kal V'chomer is just saying you want to eat is not enough. So in Rabbi Eliezer, we have to say that when he stood on the roof and he said he wants to eat it the next day, what really made it Chayiv and Meiser? Which aspect is really what made it Chayiv and Meiser?
Shabbos.
It must have been the Shabbos factor, right? That he says, I want to eat this on Shabbos, and it's like the Tinokos who set it aside for Shabbos, except here the Chiddush is, even though it's an unfinished product. Tinokos was ta'aning that we're finished product. Because most people eat ta'anim as they are. Whereas on the grogors and simukim of the roof, that is an unfinished product. The Gemora makes it clear, right? So in Rabbi Eliezer, what makes it Chayiv and Meiser in our Mishnah? And that's the problem that we had when we Raminhi. We asked the question from a later sheet of Rabbi Eliezer where it seemed that he's saying no. Even after Shabbos comes in, you can continue to eat the grapes. And grapes are considered a finished product or an unfinished product in the time of Chazal. Unfinished. Because most people used to crush it into wine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So grapes are unfinished. And you just said, according to Rabbi Eliezer, when Shabbos comes, it makes it Chayiv and Meiser. So how come Rabbi Eliezer says you can continue to eat it even after Shabbos comes in? You just told me that the Shabbos makes it Chayiv and Meiser, according to Rabbi Eliezer. That was the Ramini. That's what they asked Ramini. And who answered up the Ramini?
It was Rabbi Nassim, right?
Rabbi Nassim. We used a Tosefta of Rabbi Nassim to answer it up. And what did he say? You know what Rabbi Eliezer really meant?
He didn't
Spoke about the Chatzar and the Shabbos, but we're just talking about Shabbos right now. Just concentrate on Shabbos.
Okay.
What did he mean when he said after Shabbos comes in, you can still finish the grapes? Says Rabbi Nassim, you know what he meant?
to wait till Moshe Shabbos.
Right. You can finish it, but on Moshe Shabbos. Okay?
Yeah.
So we have a number of halachas here, but most principally we have Rabbi Eliezer telling us right? Shitas Rabbi Eliezer that Shabbos is koveya for Meiser, even in an unfinished product. Now the Rabbanan of Rabbi Eliezer, do they hold the same way? Are they holding that Shabbos is what does it, or the Dibur? What did Reb Shimi Bar Ashi say? Do you remember? He was pushing for a certain shita.
Pushing for Chachamim.
Well, we're asking, what do the Chamim hold? That's not pushing for the Chamim. We're asking, what do they hold?
Dibur doesn't.
Because his svara is that why does Rabbi Eliezer say Shabbos is enough? It's an extension of his shita that what Truma is enough.
Yeah.
That we have a Mishnah in Maestros actually that says if he took Truma from Peiros, according to Rabbi Eliezer, it's Chayiv and Meiser now. All the rest of the Peiros are Chayiv and Meiser. You can't eat them anymore until you take Meiser. So Truma, just taking a bit of Truma off of the pile, made all the rest of them Chayiv and Meiser, even though they're an unfinished product.
Yeah.
According to Rabbi Eliezer. But the Rabbanan there, do they agree? No. It says in this that the Chachamim Matirim, they let you continue eating those peiros even though you took Truma off of the pile. Because it's an unfinished product, and they hold that taking Truma doesn't make it Koveya for Meiser. So says Rab Shimi Bar Ashi, just like the Rabbanan argue on Rabbi Eliezer regarding Truma, and he says Truma makes it Chayiv Meiser, and they say not. So he wants to say the same way in our Mishnah when they say that the Dibur makes it Chayiv and Meiser, not Shabbos. Okay, so we have a number of opinions here. Rabbi Eliezer, the Rabbanan, Rav Nachman.
What about Rabbi Yeshua?
What about Rabbi Yeshua? It has nothing to do with our question here, does it? Maybe you're right. Maybe Rabbi Yeshua, who's saying you shouldn't finish it because the whole Shabbos is Kaveya.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. But he's saying even, yeah. Yeah, okay. That's a good point. Rabbi Eliezer says you can finish it Motzei Shabbos, even though Shabbos is Koveya, but not just the fact that you had it on Shabbos. It has to be miyachaded for Shabbos, then it becomes permanently Chayiv and Meiser. If not, then after Shabbos is over, you could eat it on Motzei Shabbos. That's what Rav Nassan said. So when Rabbi Yeshua argued and said, Lo Yigmor, he meant even on Motzei Shabbos, just the fact that it was on Shabbos must have made it Chayiv and Meiser. That's interesting. That's a good point. Okay, and then we have to remember earlier in the Sugi we had Rava asking the question, can Shabbos be Koveya for Meiser even though it's an unfinished product? And Rav Nachman told him, yes, Shabbos is Koveya. Okay, and then the whole question was, could we use our Mishnah as a proof or not? Now, in that backdrop, we have Rabbi Yochanan stating his opinion on a number of these topics. Okay, so let's go through it again. Ki asa Rabin, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. When Rabin came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he told over Shitas, his Rabbi Yochanan, in a number of these topics. When you have fruit that was not a finished product, Rabbi Yochanan holds what?
Echad Shabbos, Echad Truma. All these cases, not Chayiv Meiser, only something interesting.
Right. So in our way of speaking, that if you have something that wasn't a finished product, and even if you set it aside for Shabbos or whatever, it's not Chayiv Meiser. Right? So this is another answer to Rava's question way back when. Can Shabbos be koveya for something that's not a finished product? According to Rabbi Yochanan,
Yes. No way? No.
no. And the same thing with all these other things. If someone takes truma from a pile of fruit before it's a finished product, according to Rabbi Yochanan, did it become chayiv and meiser?
No.
No. Right? But that's also, we already saw, that's the shita of the Rabbanan that we saw before, argued in Rabbi Eliezer. And what if somebody brought it into the chutzner as an unfinished product? Will that make it chayiv and meiser?
Not.
He says no. And that, by the way, Rabbi Yeshua argued with, remember?
Yes.
Rabbi Yeshua said, lo yigmor, even if you brought it to the chutzner,
You can't eat it. You have to...
meaning it became chayiv and meiser. Rashi says, because he holds, even though lo yigmor malachto,
Still chayiv and meiser.
you brought it into the chutzner, it makes it chayiv and meiser. So that Rabbi Yochanan is saying no. He's going like the other shita that we had, Rabbi Eliezer, that no. That's the shita we've said all along. If you bring him to a chutzner, it's only chayiv and meiser if it's a finished product. So we have Rabbi Yochanan establishing the halacha regarding all of these controversies. So in each one of these, the Gemora says, you know why he said this one? Because he wanted you to know we don't pass on like a particular opinion. And it's going to go through all four of these chidushim of Rabbi Yochanan: Shabbos, Truma, Chatzar, and Mekach. All four things where there is a shita out there that says it is koveya for meiser, even if it's not a finished product. And therefore Rabbi Yochanan, he's coming along to tell you, no, on all four issues, I'm establishing the halacha that you always need a finished product, no matter what. Whether Shabbos is involved, whether Chatzar is involved, whether Truma is involved, whether Mekach is involved, all these possible things that could have given it a status of being a chashuva item, and therefore chayiv and meiser, when there are shitas that do hold that way, Rabbi Yochanan is establishing the halacha in his mind that it's only if it's a finished product. We never bend the rules, so to speak. You need a finished product, no ifs, ands, or buts, seemingly according to Rabbi Yochanan. So now we're going to go through each of the four things where he put his foot down and said you always need a finished product, and say, well, why did he have to mention this one? Why did he have to mention that one? The answer is because there were shitas out there who said the opposite. He's trying to make sure that we know not to pass them like those shitas. So now we're going to go through each one of them and try to establish what he really meant, who he was fighting against, so to speak.
Which Rabbi Yochanan?
Who was Rabbi Yochanan? He was probably one of the greatest Amoraim who lived. As I said, he wrote the Talmud Yerushalyim. He was the Mara D'Asra. He was the greatest rabbi in Eretz Yisrael after the Churban. And he had a big yeshiva in Tveria, apparently. And he never really left Eretz Yisrael, as far as I know. Although, soon after his demise, apparently, I don't think the Torah centers of Eretz Yisrael lasted too long after him. But just having been responsible for all of Talmud Yerushalyim is probably enough to put him in the Hall of Fame, so to speak. But besides that, he appears obviously in the Yerushalyim. He's prominent in having created the Yerushalyim, but in every Gemora in Bavli he's mentioned as well. Usually he's arguing with Reish Lakish. But he was big, very big. He was an Amor though, so. But as far as the Amoraim go, he was probably one of the greatest Amoraim. But I think mostly we pass like Rabbi Yochanan when we have Rabbi Yochanan versus other people. We usually have Rabbi Yochanan versus Rav or versus Shmuel. those three usually have kind of a ongoing machlokus type of thing. But the official one that we always find arguing with Rabbi Yochanan is Reish Lakish. That's the famous case where Reish Lakish thought that Rabbi Yochanan was a beautiful woman bathing in the river, and he jumped over the river to try to get a date with her. It turned out to be Rabbi Yochanan, but his incredibly beautiful face. The Gemora says he had shufr. The shufr had like the radiance of earlier tzaddikim all the way back to Adam Rishon. He had this incredible radiance of his face. Although the Gemora says also he was extremely fat.
Yochanan?
Him and Rav Papa used to stand next to each other, stomach to stomach. You could have a shore that would go underneath, the Gemora says. They ate tremendous amounts, but apparently just the Shem Shemaim, because they were very spiritual people. Like I said, the radiance of Rabbi Yochanan goes all the way back to Adam Rishon.
How did he walk?
You've never seen a fat person walk?
Yeah, but someone very abdominally.
Usually have very strong legs because they've been carrying that weight for their whole life, so they get very strong legs. It also increases the density of their bones, I believe. Anyhow, that's not, the Gemora doesn't emphasize that. I'm just mentioning it in passing. But the famous Gemora with Reish Lakish is he was so beautiful and he thought he was a woman because he was, I guess, up to his neck, so all he could see was his face. And apparently he didn't have a beard, so he looked like a beautiful woman. And as soon as Reish Lakish got to the other side and he found out that Rabbi Yochanan was a man.
We were surprised.
What?
We were surprised.
So Rabbi Yochanan told him, yes, but I have a sister who's even more beautiful than me, and I'll give her to you in marriage if you decide to devote yourself to Torah.
He was a thief at that time.
He had a period of time that he was considered a thief. Later on, they had a whole machlokus about weapons, and he uses his knowledge of weapons to argue against Rabbi Yochanan, and then Rabbi Yochanan makes fun of him. He says, you only know that because you used to be a thief. Anyhow, so be that as it may, so then Reish Lakish actually did makabel to learn, and did get Rabbi Yochanan's sister.
He was fatter than him.
Huh?
He was fatter than him. She was fatter than him.
I don't know how fat she was. She was beautiful, apparently, though.
Was she fat?
It should be noted that in the olden days, fat women were considered beautiful.
Even today in certain countries, like Africa.
All right. In the meantime, the point that I was trying to make was that it says as soon as he decided he was going to learn Torah in order to marry Rabbi Yochanan's sister, he couldn't jump back over the river. That he lost strength just from having been makabel to learn Torah. And the Gemora says, you just want to learn Torah. You already have this spiritual benefit. It's as if you learn Torah that makes you weak. In any event, okay, so Rabbi Yochanan there's many Gemoras about Rabbi Yochanan. He's an amazing man, amazing Talmid Chacham, and most of the halachas go like Rabbi Yochanan. So it's very important at the end of the sugya here, ending with Rabbi Yochanan like it is, I would say most significantly, he's opposing Reb Nachman, who originally said he feels Shabbos is kovea even if it's not a finished product. And Rabbi Yochanan is clearly against that. So now I would say it's a big question. Should we pass him like Reb Nachman, who's a great Amora as well, or like Rabbi Yochanan? I would think we pass like Rabbi Yochanan over Reb Nachman. It looks like it. Okay, so all four of these issues are controversial topics. Shabbos, can Shabbos be kovea, an unfinished product? We've seen that argued out all throughout our sugya here for the last 2 pages, and Rabbi Yochanan is putting his foot down and saying, no, it can't. And then he says the same thing about Truma. Truma can't, Chatzar can't, Mekach can't. These things cannot be kovea for Meiser if it's an unfinished product. According to Rabbi Yochanan, that's a that is a condition which must be fulfilled, that a product must be a finished product to be chayv and meiser. Can't bypass that, according to Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so each one of these, you want to know, when he spoke it out, who was he speaking against? So we go through one by one. Shabbos. When he talked about Shabbos, the Shabbos is not kaveh unless it's nigmar malachto. Right.
So that's against Hillel, pushes away Hillel.
Right, it's excluding. He's saying his halacha to exclude, to make it clear that we do not pass him like Hillel. Where do we see Hillel saying the opposite?
Oh, sorry. The Tsama.
The Tanya. Learned in a Beitsa. Me'amer.
Piros. Makom le'makom. For someone who removes fruit.
Now that would be ma'avir. On the side, if you notice, there is a note that some people do have the girsa of ma'avir, which would make it like you're talking about, moving it from one place to another. He's saying ma'amar. Ma'amar is a malacha actually on Shabbos. It's one of the 39 malachas. I think we've spoken about this before. Anyone remember what ma'amar is in the 39 malachas of Shabbos?
Threshing?
It's the 39 malachas that you have to know every Shabbos. Remember, guys? We're gonna learn up on them so you don't make a mistake. Okay, ma'amar is when you gather fruit together into a pile. So if you read the gears of ma'amar and not ma'avir, it's saying that a person who took a lot of fruit and gathered them up into a pile from one place to another. But the most important part is the next word. And why did he do it? Liksor.
Together.
And Liksor actually means to harvest. To harvest.
It's
so it seems like it's a bit out of place that he must have done originally. Harvested.
Isn't that the mission talks about lekat? To give the cut fruit for what?
Harvesting means you cut it off the tree, cut it off the source. That's what really Liksor means.
So to harvest HaKodesh.
Kidesh
Elohim Hayom, and they became Kadosh. I suppose they became Shabbos.
Right, that's another way of saying it became Shabbos. The day became holy, meaning Shabbos came upon them. So he had just finished gathering up the fruit, and all of a sudden it's Shabbos. Right. So what do we have? We have supposedly unfinished fruit. And now it's Shabbos. So what happens? What happens to unfinished fruit on Shabbos? Okay, we had a lot of opinions before, but let's see now here.
So Hillel himself.
For himself. Le'atzmo.
For himself. Doesn't allow.
Forbade it, right? He forbade you from eating it without taking meiser, and since you can't take meiser on Shabbos, he forbade you from eating it. Meaning, it's chayv and meiser. Why is it chayv and meiser? Because it's Shabbos. So you see that Hillel is holding just the fact that it's Shabbos overrides the fact that it's not a finished product and makes it chayv and meiser. Right?
And why is it not finished product?
Well, it doesn't say exactly what we're talking about. Apparently, anything. Therefore, we assume it's even an unfinished product. Those fruits are unfinished. Though it's not clear. That part's an assumption, I think. It's interesting. If you look in the Rabbeinu Chananel, there's on the side of the Yerushalyim Rabbeinu Chananel. First of all, he has the gears of Ma'avir, which works out better, and doesn't say what kind of peros, right? I think like our gears are just peros, but then it says without the word liksor. It doesn't have the word liksor. That's also better. Okay. The Rabbeinu Chananel says that the way that we know that it's a lo nigmar malacha, because he says if it was nigmar malacha, we wouldn't need Shabbos to say that it was chayiv and meiser. The very fact that it's nigmar malacha would make it chayiv and meiser. In any event, okay. So, where do we see here Hillel's Shita? Because we're talking about fruit that is an unfinished product, and what made it chayiv and meiser?
Shabbos.
Shabbos. And how did Rabbi Yochanan know not to pass like Hillel? Don't we normally pass like Hillel?
Yes.
Isn't that a bit of a chutzpah to go against Hillel?
Yes.
Right? That's a word to the wise, by the way, guys. Never go against Hillel. Alright, so what's going on over here? Is Rabbi Yochanan suddenly joining the other side?
No. Is he going to join the other side? Yes.
He's in the border, right?
Yeah, you can't
So
just...
how can you go against Tsama?
That's right. So what's the one word that's the significant word here? Let's see, Rashi. Shabbos.
Shabbos is
Let's actually go back. There's another Rashi beforehand. Mekach. Echad Mekach.
Echad Mekach. Im achron lechadero. Kodim כמו לחתור.
You have it, Shabbatai?
I'm looking for it.
Third line from the bottom in Rashi, in the middle, the Echad Mekach.
I've got it.
So even though we're going to talk about it later, but Rabbi Yochanan already made a statement about it, and this is something which we haven't talked about yet, the Mekach idea. So Rashi just wants to talk about it somewhat as a preliminary. That what happens, Ruli?
If it's sold to his friend, Kodim כמו לחתור follows the finished product.
Right.
Lo minan is
Achshavinu.
Achshavinu.
We don't say that they made it chashuv, achshavinu. Right, that's the part of the whole sugya, is that when somebody becomes very chashuv, Hashem wants meiser taken from something chashuv. It's not yet chashuv, like it's an unfinished product or whatever, then he doesn't care about it. Right? So he's saying, no, just the very fact that it was sold, like someone said, oh, it's so important, I'm going to buy it from you, still it's not akshavinu. Still it did not give it chashivus. I think that can is about to fall. Okay. What doesn't give it chashivus? What doesn't give it importance? Behachi. With
Thus.
such a thing, meaning with just selling it. Right? Just the very fact that you decided to sell it, and therefore, obviously, some people would say you don't buy something that's not chashuv, so therefore, maybe you would think the actual act of selling it or buying it gives it chashivus. No. That's what he's saying. Why does he need to say that? Why would anyone think it does make it chashuv? Rabbi Yochanan needed what? He needed to teach us this halacha. Why? There is somebody, right? There is, like in all of these, there's going to be somebody who does say it's kovea, That's why he had to come along and say, I know there's someone who says it, but it's not the halacha. Right? Each one of these things, he knows there's someone who says that it is kovea, even though lo nigmar lachli. He's coming to say, no, not kovea. Even selling it. Okay, then we have Shabbos. So the Gemora starts out with Shabbos. Rabbi Yochanan's list included Shabbos. That's the beginning of our discussion. Why did he talk about Shabbos? Next Rashi.
Shabbos. It's Rabbi Yochanan. This is Rabbi Yochanan to say.
He needed to talk about Shabbos as not koveya for an unfinished product. Why did he need to say that? Next Rashi. To exclude Shitas Hillel. And to tell us what Rabbi Yochanan wanted us to know. The halacha is not like Hillel. Very big chiddush, right? Very, very big chiddush. The pligi alei. Rabbi Yochanan knew that there's a Rabbanan who argue on Hillel. How did he know that? Right? Because what's the rule? Obviously, if you have Hillel versus Shammai, or Beis Hillel versus Beis Shammai, we almost always paskin like Beis Hillel. But if you have Hillel keneged the Rabbanan, then as chashuv as he was, but he's a yachid keneged the Rabbi, we have to go like the Rabbi. Kavate, like him. One more Rashi. It's truly, where are you going? One more Rashi, please. Get more sleep tonight. What?
That's being a parent.
It's a good name also, because we're so important to
Sleep. That's for Deraisa to sleep. So you have koyach to learn. One more Rashi, and then I'll let you go wash your face. How did he know that there was a Rabbanan who argued on Hillel that he should pass like the Rabbanan, not Hillel? It's a big chiddush not to go like Hillel, because it said Hillel did what? Hillel la'atzmo. That's what it says in the Beitsa, that Hillel paskin la'atzmo to say it's usher. That's the pshat. When it says la'atzmo, it means who, he, what? Levado. Levado means by himself. He was all by himself. And which is what? Chalukin Allah. That his entire generation, unlike most halachas that Hillel had the halacha, in certain things they didn't accept Hillel's halacha. Like this one. How do we know they didn't accept Hillel's halacha here?
I don't know.
Because it says la'atzmo. He only paskin for himself, but it wasn't accepted by the rest of the generation, says Rashi. And who told us that? Who told us that Hillel was only la'atzmo? Look in the Beitsa, you know who told us that? Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yochanan was just paying attention to the Beitsa. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, last line of the Gemora. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Hillel aser for himself. So Rabbi Yochanan said, did you notice that? That Rabbi Yehuda reported to us the truth that what? Hillel said it's aser because he felt Shabbos is koveya, but it was only la'atzmo, which implies what? Everybody else argued on him. Rashi used a very strong expression. The entire generation passing against him. First, Rashi just calls it a Rabbanan passing against Hillel. Then Rashi goes ahead and says, the entire generation argued on him. In any event, so why does Rabbi Yochanan know? Why does Rabbi Yochanan know? Because it says la'atzmo. One little word reveals that Hillel's not passing for the whole generation. The whole generation didn't accept it. It's only la'atzmo. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to propose that Rav Nachman didn't know about this Beitsa. Right? Remember at the beginning of the sugya, Rava asked Rav Nachman if you have Peiro Shalom Nigmar Malachtan, unfinished product, can Shabbos be Koveya? Remember, you read that? Rava's question.
Yes.
And what did Rav Nachman say? I have a Kabbalah in my hand that what? Shabbos is Koveya.
Shabbos can be.
But Rabbi Yochanan says you can't paskin like that. Why? Because we have a Beitsa here that what? That says that Hillel held that way, but Hillel held that way connected the entire generation of Chachamim, so you can't paskin like Hillel in this case. You go wash your face or do whatever you need to do. Here.
So
Interesting Gemora.
So the Kabbalah is not as important as the...
I'm not sure where he got his Kabbalah from now, and that's a big question. Where did Rav Nachman get this from? But certainly we see there are people who held that way. It's not like he was completely off base on that.
Did we get it from one of the Nevuim?
What?
Did we come from one of the Nevuim?
Nevi'im?
Yeah. Quite Yeshiva or something earlier.
No, I think it was in Rava's question. If you look back at Rava's question, he included the pasuk from Yeshalyim. He said, "Do we say that since the Torah, the Navi called it oneg, that gives it chashivos?" That was on top of it. If you look back, you're not even looking at the right page. If you look back, and when Rava asked the question, that was included in his question. That's how he phrased the question. Do we say that Shabbos can even be koveya for a lo nigmar because it's so chashuv? Because Yeshaya Navi even called it oneg. Every achila given a special name on Shabbos. That's part of his question. So then when Rav Nachman says we have a Kabbalah in our hand, I don't know where he got that from, but now at least we can say that Rav Yochanan argues with Rav Nachman, and he seems to have a good proof from this Beitsa. But it says clearly in the Beitsa, according to the way Rashi is explaining it now, that it's only Hillel la'atzmo, but really everyone else argued with Hillel. So that's how Rabbi Yochanan knew that even though normally we pass like Hillel, let's see, 99.9% of the time we pass like Hillel, but not always. Right? When for some reason his generation argued on him, then we side with the majority. Okay?
How come they don't mention Beitsa?
First of all, it was Hillel before there was a Beis Shammai, before there was even the Beis Hillel. Hillel existed before Beis Hillel and before Beis Shammai. And the Gemora actually says there were only 3 things that Hillel and Shammai argued on. Later on, their yeshivas argued on more.
One of them is in the beginning of our Gemora, right?
I don't remember. Was that Shammai or was that Hillel?
Shammai Hillel. Well,
No,
Shammai
it
said you
says
can't
Beis
use
Shammai. It says Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel.
That's different?
Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel were later generations, like the Yeshiva of Shammai, the Yeshiva of Hillel that lived afterward. There were many, many more machlokas which cropped up. In the time of Hillel and Shammai, there was only 3. Anyhow, I'm not sure, but this is obviously a unique situation where Hillel held a certain pshita and the entire generation was against him, so that wasn't likely to happen too often. But this is what you have to remember at the end of the day, that's why it's kedai to learn. You learn of these unique situations where You ask someone, do we pass like if we pass like Hillel, and they'll say, yes, of course we pass like Hillel. He says, not always. In Beitsa Daf Lamed Hey, Amud Aleph at the very bottom, Rabbi Yochanan Paskins Keneged Hillel. And how could he have the chutzpah to do such a thing? Because he has a diuk in the Beitsa. The Beitsa makes it clear that Hillel only was la'atzmo, but the rest of the generation argued, and that what gave Rabbi Yochanan the idea that the halacha is not like Hillel in this case. Yeah. Regarding what? Regarding does what Shabbos Kovea for Meiser, even if it's an unfinished product.
Even if it's an unfinished product.
He held yes, like other sheets that we've seen in our sugya, but the diuk is everyone else argued, the Rabbanan argued, everyone's generation argued, so everyone says. So, like the majority against Hillel in this case. Unusual case, but there it is. Okay. Should we go weiter? Next topic. So Rebbe Yochanan again said that the halacha is what? That Chatzar is what? Not Koveya on an unfinished product. Why did he have to tell you that? Why was it important to mention? Because he wanted you to know that we don't paskin like Rebbe Yaakov, right? Rebbe Yaakov was also very chashuv Tana, and therefore it's important for Rebbe Yochanan to clear that up. That even though as chashuv as he was, like the last halacha, Hillel was also chashuv, but for whatever reason we don't go like Hillel in that case, here also. Rebbe Yaakov was very chashuv, but don't pass like him. That's what Rabbi Yochanan wanted you to know. And where do we find Rabbi Yaakov talking about this subject of whether Chatzar is Koveya what? For a low Nigmara Malachto, for an unfinished product. Here we have a Mavir.
To dry. So he laid out, we took Ta'anim.
So this is, have we seen this before?
Yeah, we did.
Remember, truly, we saw this?
Second story.
Right after the Tinokos Mishnah, where we saw Tinokos could make it Chayav and Meiser by bearing the Ta'anim. We had this one, where they brought the Ta'anim into the Chatzar, what? Liktzos. Liktzos means you wanted to make jam out of it.
Yes.
Jam or to dry off?
This goes together, I believe. I'm going to go back to that Rashi which talks about it back there. Rashi, like almost halfway down the page, Liktzos. So Rashi says, Ma'avir Ta'anim, Hoshoteach Ta'anim Chatzar. He spreads it out in the Chatzar, Liktzos, Liyabsham, like you said. But then he says, why is he doing that? Lasos Mehem Ketzios, to make from them these jam things. La'achar Shanasu Ketzios, Dorsan, then he tramples it into the round container where it becomes jam. So it's all part of a process. Okay. So we've seen this before. He brought it into the Chatzar. Why, Sruli?
To make it into jam.
Right. And so is it a finished product or an unfinished product?
It's a finished product.
Not finished. He brought to Ta'anim in. They're not finished because he wants to do something more to them. He wants to spread them out and trample them and do all sorts of things to them. Make them into jam. So he brought into the Chatzar what kind of product?
Unfinished.
Unfinished. And what's the halacha?
Not chayav and ma'aser.
What does it say? Banav?
Banav or B'nai Beitsa, his kids and grandkids of his household. Ochlin Mihaim, Arai. So they can eat them. They eat them as snacks.
You can eat these tainim as snacks.
Upatorim minha ma'aseh, and they part of giving ma'aseh.
Okay, so that's the opinion we saw before. That in order to be chayiv and meiser, even you bring to the chutzner, it has to be what? A finished product. If they're unfinished, it's still patur. But we had that before. But now what we didn't see before was Rabbi Yaakov. That what? V'tani Allah.
Tani Rabbi Yaakov. So he taught.
Tani Allah. There was a Beitsa taught about this, meaning it was like an addendum to this. Rabbi Yaakov. Mechayev. Rabbi Yaakov said it's chayev in meiser already. Okay? There's Rabbi Yaakov.
So what's this, an addendum to what?
We had a Mishnah, right? Now we have, it's like an addendum to that Mishnah, which is called a Tosefta, or sometimes they weren't even officially made into a Tosefta, they just made a Beitsa that was like a commentary to the Mishnah. If it was good enough, it made it into a Tosefta. Not always did it make it into a Tosefta, it just remained a Beitsa that's a commentary on the Mishnah.
So Rabbi Chayev says this, Rabbi Yaakov says it's Chayev. He doesn't let him follow the halach of Rabbi Yaakov.
Okay, so that's Rabbi Yaakov saying chayiv on what? Even though what? Truly
An unfinished product.
unfinished product, because he hopes to make it into jam. But he brought into the chutzner. So according to Rabbi Yaakov, what made it chayiv and meiser?
Unfinished.
Just the fact that it's in the chutzner. That's why the topic is chutzner. Can chutzner make it chayiv and meiser just because it's chutzner? Such a chashuv thing. The chutzner is such a chashuv place to bring it into, even though it's not a finished product. So in the official Mishnah, it said no, it's still patur. But here in the Beitsa, we see that Rabbi Yaakov says it's chayiv. Who argues with him? Who obviously is the one we paskin like? Rabbi Yossi.
Rabbi Yossi
Bar Rabbi Yehuda. Poter. He says it's patur, like our Mishnah. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan says. We pass him like that. So in this particular case, Rabbi Yochanan is taking sides. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda keneged Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov is very chashuv. Why would he go like Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Yaakov? Because who made it into the Mishnah? Whoever wrote the Mishnah, right? Incorporated which opinion into the Mishnah? What we just read, right? Ma'avir teinim b'chatzer l'chitzos b'nu b'nei Beitsa ochlim ema rai v'turmin ha'meiser. That's the Mishnah. So it's as if Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi knew about both opinions, Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda. And when he wrote the Mishnah, he what? He chose to paskin like
Rabbi Yaakov.
no.
Rabbi
Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda. So as chashuv as Rabbi Yaakov is, but Rabbi Yehuda Nasi paskin against him. That's why who do we find in the Mishnah? Only Shitas Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda. So that's how Rabbi Yochanan knew lachas like that, and not like Rabbi Yaakov, as great as he was.
Yes.
Let's see Rashi.
Sorry, how do you know that? From reading this.
Well, first of all, Rabbi Yochanan says it, so I'm just speculating. But where did Rabbi Yochanan get that from?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he got it from the fact that we have a machlokus in the Beitsa, but when it came to the Mishnah, we only find one opinion, which in Rabbi Yochanan's mind was like a psak. That decided who was right, as it were. The Beitsa is machlokas, but when it came to writing the Mishnah, who ended up in the Mishnah? Only one of the opinions. Which usually means Rabbi Yehuda Nafshi decided to paskin that way against the other opinion. That's his way of paskining. I assume that was Rabbi Yochanan's diuk to say we paskin like that. Okay? Maybe there'll be something in the Rashi. Let's see if anything that I said resonates in a Rashi here. Chatzer. What does that mean? Who did? Rabbi Yochanan needed to talk about it. Right? Rabbi Yochanan talking about 4 halachas. Chatzer is not kaveh for meiser on unfinished product. Shabbos is not, Truma is not, and Mekach is not. Why did we have to say Chatzar is not? He needed to tell me why, to make sure I know not to pass him like Haitana. That we have a Beitsa where Rabbi Yaakov says it is Chayiv. The Chatzar makes it Chayiv. Yeah. Yeah. Delays.
Delays.
Oh. Because Rabbi Yochanan knew, as chashuv as he was, leisochus kavase. The halach is what?
No.
Not like Rabbi Yaakov. Ella. It's like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, to quote here. And I just threw in, how did he know that? How did he think Rabbi Yochanan knew that? I'm conjecturing because of the very fact that in the Mishnah you only find one of the 2 opinions. It's as if Rabbi Yehuda Nafshi paskin. So Rabbi Yochanan said, if the Gadol Ador paskin, that's a good sign that halacha is like that. Not always, but that's what he's saying. I think. Alright? Yeah. So we now know when he said halacha of Shabbos is not koveh on unfinished product, he was fighting against Hillel. When he said Chatzar is not koveh on unfinished product, he was fighting against Rabbi Yaakov. Next.
Rabbi Yossi,
no, that was a previous thing.
Truma,
when Rabbi Yochanan said that Truma is not Koveya for Meiser, unfinished product, we all know that was La'afuki. That we already know was to tell you don't paskin like Rabbi Eliezer, because we just had him a little while ago, so most of us probably remember that. Taruman. He had a pile of fruit that was unfinished product, and he took truma from that. And he saw his friend Lip Cohen walking by, and he gave him a few apples. Rabbi Eliezer. From now on, you can't eat a snack from them till you take meiser. That means that you just made it chayiv and meiser. Taking truma made it chayiv and meiser. But matirim. The Chachamim said you're allowed to what? Eat a snack from this fruit still, because it's not yet chayiv and meiser. Taking truma didn't make it chayiv and meiser. Why not? It's unfinished product. Okay, there's no Rashi on that, understandably, because we just saw it a few minutes ago, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And now the last halacha that Rabbi Yochanan said, Mekach. He told us Mekach is not Koveya, like Rashi explained a few minutes ago. Mekach, you decided to sell something to your friend that was an unfinished product. Rabbi Yochanan wants us to know that that did not give it chashivus, that did not make it chayiv and meiser. Says the Gemora.
Should we read this?
I'm not sure. On the side it says Kedasanya. Right? It's either a Beitsa or a Mishnah. Rashi actually has a girsa here of Snan, so I'm not sure. Either way, it's either Bryce or Mishnah, right? And also, by the way, we're in this case we're not saying lafuke, which is a bit strange. Every time until now we said Rabbi Yochanan said this lafuke a certain person. Here we're not saying that, so we just have to wait and stay tuned. Who are we lafuke? We don't know yet. But somewhere in this Mishnah it says what? Te'enim. If you buy what?
If you buy these figs from Ma'aretz, the ignorant person, Mimakom Sharov.
Sharov b'nei Adam.
In a place where it's commonly sold.
Rov b'nei Adam, majority of people what? They dorsin. They, right, remember Rashi used this word before? When we talk about lixos?
Grandpa.
Yeah. And usually is used in conjunction with making the figs into jam. Right?
Yes.
So here we're saying that, we said before that figs are normally considered what? When the Tinokos buried it for Shabbos, put it aside for Shabbos, we said it makes it into Chayav Meiser because it's a finished product.
I'm saying it's not.
But in this particular place, people dafka liked eating jam. People liked, right? Like when I grew up, I would never have eaten a fig, but fig Newtons I would eat. There were special cookies that had figs jam inside of them. They were the most delicious cookies in the world. So probably describing that area.
You never had a fig? Wow.
I'm saying we had something called fig Newtons, where it was a cookie with fig jam inside of it.
Is there fig trees?
So in South Africa, you were like Eretz Yisrael or Eretz whatever, that they didn't usually, they usually ate them raw as a snack,
right,
whatever. But I was like this other place, Rov b'nei Adam, and we're Dorsey. So now, Ochel mehem arai means they're not yet chayiv and meiser, right? Till now, if something was chayiv and meiser, you couldn't eat from them arai, right? That's what we kept saying. Remember that? Every time we'd get it to a point where it's chayiv and meiser, whoever held it was chayiv and meiser would tell you, now you can't eat it even a snack. Remember? So here, if they're saying you can eat it as a snack, that means it's not yet chayiv and meiser. Okay. Even though they bought it, right? You bought it and you gave it chashivas by buying it, right?
It was an unfinished product, right?
Yeah, but that's the question. If you buy an unfinished product, the very fact that you bought it, does that give it chashivas to be chayiv and meiser? So far we see it's paskening no. Because you bought it, but you bought it in a place that what? Most people wait for it to be a finished product beyond where it is now, so it's not yet a finished product. And that's why you can eat from them arai.
So how do you take meiser from jam?
I take meiser from anything. You just take scoop off.
Take a scoop off? You can do it.
Well, why can't you do that?
You should take a fig off, right?
First of all, meiser is supposed to be a tenth, officially. Now we say today we're mako because of everyone's tummy and all of that. So, but we're in the time of Chazal, they took off a tenth. So you scoop off, I don't know, if you make 100 containers, and you give 10 of them to a Levi. Give a tenth. Okay. So therefore, so far we see it's still pater for meiser. Yeah. Umaisran demai. Now, do you know what demai is?
Yeah, it's products that you buy from an Amalarix where you're not sure that mice has been taken.
Right. It's actually, the Gemora says even stronger than that. It says, Rov Amaris to Meiser.
Well,
So it's a chumrah to take Meiser from that kind of produce, but the Chazal were mechayiv you to do so nonetheless. But it's a different kind of Meisering, right? It's a more makel kind of Meisering. Because you assume that it was already done. So therefore, whatever you do is, maybe you don't have to take off as much, or maybe you don't have to, you don't make a bracha, or whatever it is, it's not the same kind of Meisering. So what do we see from this Beitsa, or Mishnah, whatever it is?
It's unfinished Katsias is not nice.
Even though we had four things that Rabbi Yochanan was Mechadesh. Even though something's Shabbos, even though something's Truma, even though something's in a Chatzar, and now we're in the fourth one. Even though, look back at what he said. Look back at what Rabbi Yochanan said. Ki asa Rabin, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, so the fourth thing we're examining is that he said, even a mekach is not what koveya for meiser if it's an unfinished product. And do we see that in this Beitsa or Mishnah, whatever it is? Is there a purchase going on here?
Yes.
Yeah, it says you bought it from an Amaretz. So that's a purchase. And is it an unfinished product?
Yes.
How do you know? Because it says it's in an area where most people make it into jam. It's an unfinished product, and you bought it, so it should be, if Mekach makes things into Chayav Meiser, even if an unfinished product, it should have made a Chayav Meiser. Is this Chayav Meiser? Is this Chayav Meiser? No, because it says, Ochel Mehem Arai. You can eat a snack. Chayav Meiser, you can't eat a snack. But then it says later, when you do Meiser it, remember to Meiser it to mine. I'm here tomorrow.